Marz Talk Show, Late Night Chaos. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Marz Talk Show. It's been a while. Joining me tonight, I have a up-and-coming new author on the scene. He has joined me before. Some of you might recognize him for his musical talents. We have Harrison Tyler joining us tonight. Say hello, Harrison.
Hello.
So, Harrison, you recently just released a book called Earthbound.
No, it's Earthborn and Bound. Earthbound is a game.
I'm sorry. So it's Earthborn and Bound. This is the first book in which that you are going to be doing a series. Is that correct?
Yes.
I recently got myself a copy of this book too, and I read over it in one night. And to me, it was very interesting. You had selected the idea of taking it into this fantasy world of the mortal realm, but using wizards as well. What made you decide to bring that in?
Well, it was written based upon all the elements of my childhood interests. I liked many different genres and different TV shows and books and movies. So we're talking about all the elements of like Western meets fantasy meets sci-fi. We're talking about magic, sorcery, medieval. There's actually history involved, like real history. So I mean, it is fiction based, but there's also some actual real historical basis to it also. And I also researched language and dialect to create my own universe and world. So I'm not saying necessarily it's an original idea, but I've taken things that have already been done and just made it my own.
Without giving too much away, could you give like a brief synopsis of what the story actually is?
Well, it's Earthborn and Bound. Has to do with the character and his kind, if you will, that are that the story is mainly about. The title speaks for them, and what it means is that they are born into this world and they are bound to this world, meaning that they are considered to be immortal.
So they are not actually of Earth then?
No, they are of Earth. I mean, they're born into Earth, just like humans are, but they're just a little more gifted than regular humans.
Huh.
But they don't die like regular humans would. And their lifespan, even though they are considered to be immortals, they do eventually move on to a different realm or dimension, if you will, something having to do with the ultimate realization, which I have yet to expound upon. And so I mean, it's about these individuals, and it focuses on one character in particular, who goes by the name of Morgan Donovan, and focuses on him and his experiences and his adventures and his discoveries and battle with the dark side of the world.
It was interesting when reading your book. I found it interesting with the character Morgan, because it reads it from his perspective, So it's almost like we're reading. Um, I don't know best way to describe it I can think of. It's almost like we're reading his diary, like his telling of the story.
Well, it's written from a first-person perspective, so it's bound to sound that way.
Now, with the development of Morgan, how did you go about creating this character? I mean, he comes across as a very he comes across as a character who's very isolated and doesn't seem to bother with much contact with anyone.
Well, if I'm understanding the question correctly, the development of the character is more or less in a way it's personal reflection, and so I mean the character I guess exudes not just myself but also qualities of other people in my own life as well, as many of the characters in this book are. It's all reflections of myself and people I know.
So, now taking that in mind, do you find yourself sometimes almost merging with your characters in a sense?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there might be like brief moments in the middle of those writing spurs when you're striking up inspiration, and you just get caught up in the moment of what you're writing about and what this character may be experiencing. But no, just differentiating reality between fantasy. I guess that's what you mean.
Now, also reading this book, I couldn't help but get a kind of a very familiar feel at the same time. The aspect of this world almost seems to be, as you stated, it was placed a bit more medieval, but you also have a touch of the sci-fi in there. And I remember descriptions of these descriptions of what seemed to be airships. Had there been previously a lost technology existing then?
Yes, because the other element that exists within this world is excuse me, is also the post-apocalyptic idea. So I mean, time and society and humanity is kind of starting over in a way, but I mean it carries elements of all kinds. So that's why you will hear references of technology and stuff like that.
That's really, I'm trying to be I'm trying to be tactful with my words here because I don't want to give too much away. But also, I remember at the beginning you described there being a great war. Was it due to this war that this technology had been lost?
Well, yes and no, because it was a battle that was mostly fought between the good side of sorcery and magic versus the dark side. So regular humans did get caught in the crossfire of it. However, it also makes light of human nature and how humans are warlike in many ways, and we are oftentimes divided and will fight just about over anything. So a lot of lost civilization and technology has to do with, a great war, and also the wars that just exist between humans. So leave some of it to your imagination too. Just I encourage people to also speculate, and to interpret things in their own ways as well. And I know there's also a lot of people who have taken great stories out there and made their own fan fiction novels based upon another idea that was already made. So I'm all for people speculating and making their own interpretations as well.
Definitely. I guess my curiosity and all is, are there going to be any more development on that past history? I mean, I would suspect there would be. It's just we are still in the beginning stages, so not much has been made light of it. But it would be interesting to hear more on that. Is there any little bit of insight that we can possibly get on that?
Other than you're just going to have to wait for the rest of the series to be written? Well, I mean, just wait and see what happens, and expect to find out whatever it is you want to find out with time. So
now, this is also the first novel you've published at this time. Is that correct?
Yes, just the first one. Working on the second one, even right now. So I'm hoping to have that finished within the month.
Now, granted that I remember speaking with you prior during your development when writing this. I know that you have stated you want this to be a full series. Do you have a projection on how many books you are going to write, or is it just more of however far the story goes?
However far the story goes. I haven't exactly, made up a specific number of how many books in the series there will be. But when it's done, it's done. So my hope eventually too is to make a volume 2 of the series where it includes a graphic novel.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
So maybe someday when I can work that out and arrange it with an artist who can create the visuals that I find to be adequate for the writings. I think it'd be really neat to see that turn into something visual as well.
Definitely. Now, also, I remember I remember you speaking about how the elements were to be involved with the magic. Is that the basis of all magic then? Is just the connection with the elements itself?
Yeah, magic is ruled by, as you said, elements and nature and just the things around us that just are and always have been, whether that be, time, astral plane, fire, water, earth, wind, what have you. So I mean, to answer your question then, yes.
Also, what was your what would you say was your inspiration towards this writing? Like what really first started the spark, if you will?
As I was saying earlier, a lot of it is just inspired by childhood interests, and even interests I have now, as a matter of fact. So yeah, it's just several thoughts and ideas that have just been accruing over time, and I just thought one day, hey, it'd be really cool to turn that into a story.
Now, not to compare yourself to anyone else, but were there any inspiring writers that maybe held influence to you?
Yeah, there's a few I'm really inspired by. I would say J.R.R. Tolkien and Robert Jordan, C.S. Lewis, and Stephen King. And there's a few others that aren't exactly coming to mind at the moment, but yeah, those are just some of the few that have inspired what I do.
And they're all great writers in their own right. I can definitely see how you would take how you would take inspiration from them, because they all hold key elements in what you use. Well, now, for people who are wanting to go and get a copy of this book, do we just have it readily available for ebooks, or do we get hard copies yet, or what's going on there?
It's just available as an ebook. Excuse me. It can be found through Amazon. If you search Earthborn and Bound, it'll say Book 1 also. And Amazon is exclusive to Kindle applications, I'm aware of that, so it's also available for download through smashwords.com as well. And just type in the same thing, Earthborn and Bound, you'll find it there. And just download it, give it a try, yeah. And hope you enjoy it.
Definitely, and folks, if you are looking for a good book to read, I do recommend this book. I actually had downloaded it on a very late night. I believe it was about 1 a.m, and read the whole thing in one sitting. So it's definitely not a book you'll want to put down. Now, again, folks, if you're ever looking to find yourself a copy, if you're a Kindle user, go to Amazon.com, look it up as Earthborn and Bound, or you can just go to smashwords.com, look it up there. You'll find it available in all ebook formats. Now, folks, as we are coming to the close of tonight's segment, I do have a couple points to address. It's a bit of fun events happening currently. If you're within the Phoenix area of Arizona, there is a meetup for artists going to be happening out in Mesa, Arizona at Cup of Karma on October 26, 2013 at, I believe it's 7 p.m. if I remember correctly. So if you are a local artist, please feel free to join us. We will personally, Harrison and myself will be there that night. You can actually meet us in person then.
The crossroads, excuse me, are Southern and Dobson. Well, between Dobson and Alma School. I wouldn't say Dobson exactly, but it's on Southern, in between those Alma School and Dobson. So come out and check it out. Yeah, as Marz said, we'll both be there.
Definitely. And also, folks, I want to give a shout out to an upcoming group that is working very hard out in the cosplay community. They are known as CLAD Cosplay Lovers and Dorks. Very fun, entertaining group. If you're interested in checking them out, just simply go to facebook.com, look at CLAD, that's C-L-A-D, Cosplayer Lovers and Dorks. Very fun group, very entertaining. I believe you'll have a lot of enjoyment out of that. Once again, folks, we want to thank you so much for listening in tonight. I'm sorry I'm not as energetic as I normally am. My voice is kind of failing me tonight, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll regain a little bit of some rest, and we can definitely expect a little more to be coming out more lately. Before we close out tonight, Harrison, was there anything you'd like to say?
No. Other than just kind of continuing expression to everyone to treat each other well and be polite. treat others as you'd want to be treated, right? So spread that message of peace.
Oh, that's a good message to have. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in on tonight's show. Hopefully we will be back soon. Again, I apologize for the great distance that we have had as of late. I've missed you all very dearly. But do not fear, your ruler and master has not died yet. Good night, folks.
That I could die, I love you so, and that is why